any Egyptian history or Egyptian hieroglyphs that depict the loss of thousands of Israelite slaves?
The answer is no, with the added to it. First of all, the answer as far as is there anything that depicts Israelite slaves or Hebrew slaves in Egypt, especially in a large number that would be of 600,000 men, as the book of Exodus would describe it? The answer to that is a resounding no. I'll get to the in just a minute. But the answer is resounding no. Anything that you have heard that came from Ron Wyatt has been debunked numerous times. There are no chariot wheels in the Red Sea. He has never found them. No one has ever found them. It is a urban legend at this point that we know that this nurse never conducted any archaeological studies that were supported by any government, supported by any museums, or any other archaeological foundations. We also know that nothing that he has ever proclaimed was ever peer reviewed. So, no, there are no chariot wheels. There is no footprints that were at the place that was burned in glass. And I want you to think about that. If the sand was so hot that it was burned, that it was turned into glass, and you stepped on it barefoot, what would happen to your feet? No. So all these things are simply just made up things. Even when we look at the pillar that was set up by Solomon, you're talking about something that was set up 400 plus years later, depending upon the timeline, and especially if you're using Second Kings timeline, where Solomon said that, hey, it was 400 plus years ago that the Exodus happened. Solomon then puts up a pillar. That would be like me setting up a monument to the fact that Davy Crockett or John Henry plowed through the tunnel of a mountain, made a tunnel through a mountain. Just because I set it up doesn't mean that the event happened. This is what they believe. But as far as any other real archaeological evidence that shows that the time frame, no. And what we do have, is we have two actually. The first one, we know that the Hyksos, who were a Semitic people, came in and conquered northern Egypt. The Hyksos came in and conquered, and they ruled northern Egypt for a while, especially in that area of Goshen. We know they were there, except the only problem is they were there in the 1600s. They were there BCE. They were there long before the Joshua story ever happened. They were there long before the Moses story ever happened. But the problem is the Hyksos were just Semitic people. They were not Israelites, Hebrews. The other is the Brooklyn Papyri. The Brooklyn Papyri list out some Semitic names of people who were slaves. I think of around 14 to 20, somewhere around that number. But these are just Semitic people. Understanding the thing that makes something Semitic is the common language that they all stem from. So your Hyksos, your Amorites, your Hittites, your Jebusites, your Pebusites, your Israelites. These are all Semitic people. Your Shashu, all Semitic people. So they could have been anyone. Anyone? And since we don't have the mentioning of any Israelites until the 1204 Merneptah, which says that he came and destroyed a wandering people group called Israelites and destroyed every seed of them, then that's the first time we hear of them. So maybe they were in existence in around 1300 BCE, but certainly during the time frame of the Hyksos, this is not the Israelite people. And plus, they were driven out by war, by defeat, not driven out as slaves. So the clear answer is the whole Exodus story is made up. There is absolutely no mass migration of slaves, Hebrew slaves, out of Egypt at any time frame whatsoever. And you can go do the research for this yourself, which I implore you to go and do it. Use Google Scholar to look up some PhD papers on the true or falseness of the Exodus story. Read multiple PhD papers, read the peer reviews, and you will see that the overwhelming consensus is the Exodus story never happened, but is simply a story that was made up based on multiple things, from the Akkadian story of Sargon to the story of Thutmosis to the story of the Canaanite people who separated themselves and became known as Israelites. It is, and mind you, these Canaanites were living in an Egyptian-controlled Levant at that time frame. So, but no. The answer is no. They try, but it's no. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.